e você é a moderadora desse evento hoje. E a gente tem aqui grandes empresas, como a Belga Marine, a Miros, a CBO e a OceanPact. Então, vou pedir para cada um se introduzir um pouco para a plateia e introduce each other to the audience. Welcome, everyone.
So I'm Jan Lomholdt. I'm the CEO of Belga Marine, and I was born long before the internet was existing. And I actually worked with the internet when we started that with Microsoft and also IBM. So I'm very, very happy. It's a big heart of mine to be talking about AI and machine learning today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Emil, for the invitation to be here. I'm Leonardo S from OceanPact. I studied computer science, computer engineering, actually, and then I did a master's in computer science. And since 2012, I work at OceanPact and today I'm innovation manager.
Actually, my name is André Wallace. I'm from Miros in Norway, although I'm based in Aberdeen in Scotland. My background is based around vessel operations as well as metrology and GNSS positioning. So we're here to get a little bit of insight into what we've been doing with our technology and how we're using that to boost vessel operations as well.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here today. I also use the Windows 3.1. I'm not that old, but I have used it. Currently, my background is electrical engineer. I have master degree in control automation and also a master degree in business model, more precisely. I have worked with digital transformation and alternative fuel in different areas since energy generation, automotive. I've lived leading the first electric truck in Brazil, Fuels, and now I have the great pleasure to work in CVO, the biggest totally Brazilian offshore support enterprise. Have focused our energy in digital transformation, artificial intelligence, also electric vessels. And our last achievement was the launching with Softtrack and other colleagues here of the first project called Dual Fuel Ethanol Vessel. Thank you.
To start our panel, I already start with the question that everybody asks. So, in terms of operations, what are the most impactful ways that artificial intelligence is being used now? Because everybody uses AI for several things. We know it's being used offshore, but how do you see a true change in the maritime operations?
So there's a new modes, and we have 28 offshore support vessels from different types. But and I've been also on a journey of digital transformation at OceanPact, and AI has been for the last 1.5 years been one of the main focus. So data and AI. So going back to the question now, is um, uh, most impactful ways we are today using, not future. I think today for PPE, protective personal equipment monitoring with AI, it's already in use in our fleet, in most of our ships, and it's been with great results and proven safety. So that's a bonus for HSE. Um, what else? For um, I'm sorry. Um, yes, I'll go back to
There are several options. It's a little bit difficult to fish it, but I think you could classify two measure effort here. We have a huge backbone of operation. It's the onshore departments, engineering, procurement, logistics, and so on. So the, in CPO, we have transforming these areas, PMO2, with the artificial intelligence. We had the, the data spread in Excel, spreadsheets, and so on. Now our major effort is to construct a data lake. And from the data lake, we are operating artificial intelligence. For instance, uh, we have developed chatbots which I can ask to this chatbot in the Teams or WhatsApp the vessel specification, and I have this answer pretty quickly. In the past, I would have to call to my engineering colleagues. I would ask them, they would search in uh, infinite files, and so in the next 3 days, I'm gonna have the information. Now I have just speaking with a chatbot. This is first of all. When I talk about the vessel operation, realize how stressful is to consult documents when I have a very important issue in the vessel. So the artificial intelligence can help that with AI agents who are implementing for this test. The also an AI agent with consults in the vessel the normative directions and so on and documents to support the crew in this complicated periods. You know, when I have an issue, how I going to solve it? Let's ask AI. So it's a very reliable system. It brings reference and so on. The second, I don't take longer, but the second, it's the preventive maintenance. We have a measure vibration of all our vessels, 4 or 5 vessels, and we can analyze and predict and anticipate to failures. So this has a huge impact in the business. It's not a distance thing, but has a huge impact in the business. It's reduce the downtime and in the end of the day impact directly in the profitability and efficiency of company.
May I comment? I took looking at many other things other than PPE, like for instance, if a person fell, if there's an obstructed escape route, if there is people with fatigue, or someone that should be on the watch, which is not paying attention or is using a cell phone. And that's what's today. And there is also some very interesting research we've been doing lately, and which is using AI to do short-term forecasts. Not casting, it's called using data which is collected from metocean sensors at sea. So from each of our ships, we take we see it as a moving um, data source. It collects, it monitors the environment, it monitors all the ships around it, it monitors how the sea state is, and with sensors from companies such as Miros, and we are we have a research team looking at this data, uh, assimilating this data into ocean forecast models, and also doing short-term forecasts to be able to more efficiently um, schedule our operations. So we we are still doing more research, R&D, and that to be able to model also the bottom of the sea and so that we can dive with an ROV in the correct location to prevent more efficient. We don't want to dive to find out that we are in the wrong position and go back and dive again. And by the way, we also have one initiative, which is constructing a data lake as well. And this data lake, it's about breaking data silos. We have lots of data silos today in the company, and this journey to break these silos and bring everything to one
single data lake. It's very important. And it's also very important that we own the data. I think sometimes when we hire solutions from vendors, the vendors, they have the data and we don't. So it's like, and it should be the opposite. We should own the data and be able to study or have other people look at the same data and find new insights from these data using, for instance, AI, which is just a tool, which is today in very, very high, not that high. That's it for now.
Just a short comment. It's amazing to hear today, 25, how we already are using these technologies so deep. I want to ask the audience, how many here is using ChatGPT on a weekly basis or daily basis? So we don't even need to teach anything about AI because you are using it every day. So this 3 years ago, when we implemented 3.5 years ago, when we presented from Belga some technology solutions from around the world with AI, we went to some of the ship owners and they were looking at us and say, yeah, that we don't believe can be done and so on. And today you're already doing it. We have created data. We at 5 years ago we didn't even have a link to communicate anything out there. Now it's full of sensors. You're getting your data lakes in place, which is amazing. And we are starting seeing the use cases. I still think we are very early in our business to optimize and get results. But I hope you can give some examples of results of optimization, saving cost, of course, not only by being faster using ChatGPT as employee, but also from a business perspective, how to reduce cost, fuel, preventive maintenance, see big results. And then we have seen lately, because we have different solutions that already are implementing AI, we have seen these image recognitions that you mentioned, Leonardo, for PPE or for HSE, for seeing if people wear a helmet or not. We just had a meeting with birds recognition for birds in Norway that if they see in an oil spill, they see this kind of birds, they need to do extra measurements because there's very little amount of these birds. So this is something also new. So my point is that the use cases are first starting now, and we need you, everybody in the audience, to tell what we would like to see, how we would like to optimize, how we would like to make the world more safe and secure, and also more profitable at the end of the day. But impressive what we have done.
If I may also add, just on top of that, wonderful to sound of these two gentlemen who are much smarter than I am. Putting from a kind of 2 points I would add into that from a commercial perspective. Miros for some years had a technology we call Wave System, and what we've discussed with our clients over time is how to improve operability utilizing that tool. Now, we've seen from our clients just by having this this system in place, which monitors the waves around the vessel, plus the impact at the actual vessel using a downward-looking sensor, we're able to see, we're actually able to optimize the efficiency of the vessel during operations. But then you take this a stage further into procurement, where clients are then able to look at which vessel to use on which particular projects. We've then seen the additional step of, well, maybe we need to start thinking about the vessel response. How is the vessel behaving in particular locations, and perhaps the contractual limitations of the vessels are incorrect. Perhaps we could take this forward and we can gain the commercial benefit to our company by having the correct vessel for the correct project in the correct location. What we've then implemented over time is something called Predictify. So this is utilizing machine learning coupled with our existing wave system to be able to understand and predict the motion and the waves that the vessel will encounter with a 2-minute period in advance. Now, that is hugely beneficial in real-time operations, and we're starting to see clients looking to take that forward, both in terms of the optimizing operability, but also from a health and safety perspective for the crew on board. There are critical lift operations which take place, which we've seen some footage of very recently, which could have been catastrophic for some of the crew on board. So it's something that we're hugely excited about. But there has to be a rationale and a reason to using AI. Now, we couldn't have been able to take the step of predicting or wave prediction forward without the use of machine learning. Wave systems, it's a bit of a misnomer that we have a product called wave system while at the same time we're talking about the wave systems around the vessel. But it's a hugely complicated task to make correct motion and wave predictions for those vessels. So machine learning for us has been a massive part of what we've been doing on that side of the vessel operations.
So Andrew, as a manufacturer and a supplier, it's a question to everyone, but I'm pretty sure you know how to answer it very well. AI, it's all new systems. We always talk about new technologies, but the vessels are not that new. Yesterday we were seeing like a presentation, and the average, for example, PSV age in Brazil is 15 years old. So, what are the possibilities and limitations about implementing high tech into existing systems and existing vessels that were not prepared for it? So, you could talk.
Yeah, I'll just pick that off straight away. I mean, just to refer back to Andrew's particular point, is that it's much quicker, much faster operations which are able to take place. We've seen projects having to reach out to the yards from a vessel that was built 15 years previously in order to gain access to the REOs. I mean, that's insane. And then you have to wait for the response in those times. So with the possibilities of wave prediction, you can start to look at enhancing the knowledge of the vessel's response and have that available real time to our clients. So that's one idea in which we can take forward. So it's about efficiency of operations and the efficiency of the project taking place and the time scale of that. So it's very exciting for us.
So fully agree with you, Andrew. And I would like also to point the following. You notice that nowadays the only AI that exists is LLM. We already use, as you said, machine learning, neural algorithms, genetic algorithms, and so on. Isn't it? In the time of Windows 3.1 already existed. But I think nowadays the LLM per se already are become lighter and lighter. If you see the DeepSeek, that are not that dependent of huge infrastructure as you have used onshore. So in the project I mentioned the consulting files with agents onshore on board. We planned to use the data center infrastructure, but we have sometimes the lack of internet connection, latency, and so on. So we are also implemented a backup with a very lightweight algorithms, but also with very smart hardware. Nowadays you have Grok hardware, we already have LLM functionalities embedded and so on. So my answer, I think you have a way to merge and use the legacy as you mentioned it, Alice.
Yeah, maybe just adding that sensors, right? Everybody knows how many sensors are introduced the last couple of years, and sensors create data. And we can click on, we can measure almost everything. And we are measuring. On the bridge, we have a lot of information already coming out. I think our next big step will be to how do we actually find use cases on all this data. We can find other data points. There's always some new things coming, but I think we are on the old vessels as well. We have collected, or we can click on sensors to the needs we need, and then it's more about what do we do with the data. what is actually the use cases, what is the commercial benefits, what's the safety, personal fastness that we want to do. So that will be the big step to find out. The good news is, as you said, the systems are there. We don't need to build locally everything ourselves. Sometimes we do because there's no connection to the big data centers from the big guys. But the response time is so fast and it's so easy to implement in different areas compared to when we sit and have to code and program every line ourselves. So it's getting easier.
No, I totally agree with all with your what you said. I mean, OceanPact also has very their vessels in their fleet, as you know, and we have the same pain points. And I think that the most important question is what do we want to measure? What are the questions that we want answered? Which, we have to start with what we want to, what kind of insights we want to get from the data, to then find out which data we should be collecting. Because we as opposed to the newer vessels, our vessels, they are not, well, the sensors are there. Many of them have sensors, they are not online. So we have to make all the effort to collect this data into and bring it to shore. But today the connectivity is not all the time available, but we have enough bandwidth to bring all the data that we need. It's much more to a matter of cost. What do you want to measure?
No, and I think I can ask CBO that because we talked a little bit before about vibration, right? And on gearboxes, for example. And the older the vessels are, I guess, the more vibration you have in the vessels. So you can find even better use cases, right? If you have a brand new vessel, everything is top tuned. You will probably not have so many findings or improvements. But maybe you could say a little bit about how you see actually the use cases.
Well pointed. I am for sure the vessels are not that very new, shiny, but for sure we still haven't how to optimize it, as you mentioned. Today we can use sensory. It's important to have the sensory infrastructure, but nowadays with machine learning, AI models, we can become less dependent of the new measurements. We can estimate and very precisely estimate some parameters with the current data we already have in the integrated automated system. Sometimes we have gold in our hand, but we are not using it. So this is the importance to have the big picture. And the artificial intelligence and data lake give us the big picture. And for sure, there are some sensory systems that are pretty amazing. Nowadays, for instance, vibration measurement. We can precisely, even with disturbance and so on, have the core data, have the vibration modes. And so with vibration modes, it's like a patient. The doctor have the pressure, the temperature, and so on. Now we have the vibration. I think it's the end of the line, isn't it? But we can have the diagnosis earlier. And when I see other parameters, I have more complete diagnosis and connect.
I have my last question to close the panel. Is actually two questions that I have. Are there any real case studies where you could have like measurable results that came from AI? So it was on this level, and after the use of AI, we came to this level. And also, I think it's a question of everyone. So how do you see the future of maritime navigations or AI at sea? But not only how do you see, but how would you like it to be? What do you miss? Like which future we would like to have using AI, like the birds of Norway, or how do you see operation efficiencies or safety operations with AI? So I think everyone could answer, and if later anyone from the audience would want to share also.
Okay, I'll pick this one up again. Well, we have a presentation from Jonas Rostad, who's in the audience here, at 3 o'clock. He'll be talking a little bit about some of the developments that we've been doing, so if you're fascinated, please come along. I'm going to take those questions separately. One point, we used to run these workshop days with the Hydrographic Society, SUT, and IMCA in Aberdeen, in Scotland. And there was some fascinating data that was being gathered using photogrammetry and LiDAR scanners, subsea, looking at pipeline installations. And this particular seminar was full of surveyors. And one guy stood up and said, "I'm a pipeline engineer. Is there any other pipeline engineers in here?" And he said, "No." Okay, this is fascinating data that you've gathered here, and you've got this giant data lakes of all this information, but we don't actually know what to do with it, right? So I'm the pipeline engineer who looks at the pipeline you've surveyed, and we don't know what to do with it. And then you think about the process of a surveyor. They leave university, and then what happens to them? Well, they're put in front of a video screen, and they have to sit and watch hours and hours and hours of pipeline survey looking for any erosion, and mark those for follow-up and further investigation. So I think AI is going to reduce that need of having that time and that person viewing this particular footage. We'll become more efficient. And those brilliant minds that come out of university with fresh ideas, fresh views of technology, and how to move the world forward, not being stuck in our old practices, will be able to make some more impact, which is fascinating, brilliant way. You know, you don't want old dinosaurs just doing the same thing we've done for 40 odd years until we retire. That's the beauty of where AI can free up some of the minds and the ideas. And in terms of what is actually happening right now, we're using it. We're using the technology right now. We've taken the limitations that we require for our wave prediction software, which was previously around 2 meters, significant wave height for a period of time that we needed to be in. That's now down to 1.1 meters, and that's just through research and development and the machine learning being able to be operated on vessels. So over time, I would expect those limitations to reduce further, and I also expect the period of time that we're able to monitor or predict in advance to get longer. So the machine learning a very key part for us in operation at the moment.
All right, so what's interesting is what we would like to see in the future is have AI help operations be safer and make our operations more efficient. But how, to be more specific, for instance, we are on a journey to reduce people on board, right? And for that purpose to be accomplished, we need also to employ AI to help us feel from like in a remote operating center. We need to be able to feel what's going on in the field. We need, for instance, let's say that we need to launch an ROV remotely. How do we know? How do we feel the balance of this ship? How do we know it's time to launch? How do we predict? Because we are like a very, very, very good. Our brain is so powerful. We can predict things very easily, and it's very hard to teach an AI to do that. It can be done, but it's hard. We are not there yet. We are very far away from like general artificial intelligence, and to be able to provide with the people on shore with the same set of capabilities that will replace them being offshore, it will take a lot of time.
Um, so even if we provide them with tools like 360 sound of whatever is happening offshore, 360 cameras of whatever is happening offshore, even if we provide people remotely with all that, we still benefit from having AI to augment, to help them find, like to improve the safety. Like we are not looking 360 around the ship at all times, but we could have like AI doing that, to monitor birds, to and also like for, we already have projects going on today for ROV inspection um, monitoring with AI. So we instead of having a guy looking at the screen the whole time, this guy will start doing it remotely and with an assistance of an AI. And this is an ongoing project. And we are also doing the same for coral sol. It's a coral that's endemic, which is invasive species in Brazil. And we are also have a research projects for monitoring that to prevent people from having to look at dozens of hours of image, and then the people only has to look at verify if the AI was correct and perform and sign off the report. I think this is only the start of what we can achieve with AI, and there is also one thing which is called hyper automation, which is that today we do RPAs, like robots. So we do process automation of robots. We've been doing that for many, many years. We've been employing machine learning for some of it's not everyone, some of the more clever ones for decades, because that's not new, right? That's AI is not new. Generative AI is new. And by connecting this generative AI, these multi-agent platforms with robots, RPAs, with machine learning and these data lakes, and connecting these things together is what we call hyper automation, which is the new thing, the new trend today. Um, yeah, so for in the future, with navigation, autonomous navigation, which is coming, it's a reality, but it's a very remote operations more today. Autonomous navigation is future. And this, we will require lots of AI to help us.
Yeah, I will just give a very quick example with money, where we mounted, we have a solution where we mount a lot of sensors on all the power measurement on drill ships, for example, but could be our other heavy consumption vessels. Registering this data, we collect this data, and we also look at operation manuals and other input and try to see where we can optimize, screw down for some of the power we often use too much that we don't need. In this case, because it's an expensive daily operation, especially for example a drilling campaign, we are talking about minimum $100,000, $150,000 per vessel in savings in operation by one, creating the data using different click-on sensors, two, analyze the data and give also instructions for the operators to what they can do based on different inputs from different sources. One example. All the examples with safety cannot be money, right? But if you can help, if you can save one life or one accident, it's worth a lot because you saw that he went into an dangerous area and he didn't have a helmet on. That's a simple thing that we do. And then for the future, I think you said we are in the beginning. There's a long way. But just think about what's going on the car business with driving themselves around in LA or in Texas, coming very fast, learning from data. We will get a lot of information in our cars. We can start taking our hands off and do other things. And I think we are going that direction, that we will see a lot of operations can be robots combined with AI that will do things, especially dangerous things in the beginning, and then less and less people involved, which will make it safer and more efficient and more profitable as well. Petrobras, big oil companies, they have so much million data when they have to explore. If you can use that data to be more precise, hit the right way, you can imagine how much money that use case is. And we are lucky that here in Rio, we actually have companies like Hybrid AI that is analyzing that and working with Petrobras on many machine learning people, many AI people to create new solutions. So I think we are moving. The future is today. All you guys every day find a new way to use AI or the chatbots. So it's an evolution that goes really, really high for how we use it.
Just a very quick point. I think I already mentioned several initiatives from CBO. Just adding, we have also using AI to support the crew operation and reduce the fuel consumption. So we always remember why are you using 4 engines, for instance? They decrease, go to the optimal operation. And I would just like to bring a point you mentioned about precision. We also have to the new trends consider the quantum computing and quantum computer with artificial intelligence will be a game changer with precision, processing power, and so on. As you mentioned, environmental awareness with more sensor, robots, and so on, drones integrated will change the way we operate the vessels. It will totally change. And the next steps of AI also a very important trend. It's the diffuse AI, because we are thinking that AI are distanced us from our human part, but you also can use diffuse AI, emotional machines to take care of our crew, to decrease the stress and so on. So diffuse AI can help also the way we operate the vessel, but the well-being of the crew. It's pretty important point too. Just thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I would also like to add that, of course, we always listen that the life at sea it's fantastic, it's adventurous, but it's dangerous. It's a fact. So the less people we have on board, the less time people spend on board. That's a big game change. And when we speak about, I personally, when I think about AI in the future, when we think about Foz do Amazonas, of course, if you're in this room, you are in this industry. Of course, it's good to have exploration over there, but the concern is real. So if we have AI with a lot of oil spill detections, very precise radar, and a lot of technology on oil spill and oil spill technology, that's gonna be a game change because people are against exploration, also because of oil spill, of course, it's true. So if you reduce any environment danger, safety of people, safety on environment, for me, that's the trend. So.
No, I think maybe the questions, but I just wanted to, while I remember diffuse AI, it's not a diffuse AI solution, but after this, I would like to invite you all to go down to Emmanuel's booth and have a coffee that is at least with a logo printed with some, I'm not sure it's diffuse AI, but it works like that. And it has different logos from some of from Miros and others there. So I was just thinking, good coffee is good diffuser as well. Yes, there's also beer at 4 o'clock for a happy hour.
Yeah, we will have a happy hour at MNO booth starting from 4 o'clock. So you're very welcome to join us. And before I close this panel, I would like to know if there's any questions from the audience. Yeah, sure.
My question is, how far, I love your points about the next steps. We come to the audience and ask, okay, everybody's using, it's already done. The generative is already done. My question is how far we are from the agentic AI. I mean, for the audience, agentic AI is the AI, we have some categories of the AI where the AI can follow some complex instructions and take the decisions. I think that is the next step, but how far we are from this?
So the company I previously worked for was Veripos. They specialize in the precision of high specification GNSS positioning. And one of the companies that they ended up being bought by a company called Hexagon and tied in with Novotel, who I'm sure people are more familiar with. We then got involved in autonomous vehicle development. Now, one of the keys for development is that we've been going down the road of AI and learning for decades now. Cars started with their remote sensors that we took time to become familiar with. Anyway, that's kind of the initial point. But the self-driving vehicles that Jan referred to within Texas and LA, this has been possible for quite some time. The issue is the human element of how do we feel about that and how do we cope with that? How do we sit within a vehicle along those lines? Now, I think within the agenda you're speaking about, it's all going to be driven by how we are able to cope with that over time. I noticed there's a huge amount of the audience utilize ChatGPT, but my question would be, what do you use it for? Is it generic search engines? Are you utilizing it to find the quickest answer because you don't want to go to Google and have 20,000 answers? Which one? What are you really using it for? We have, as I mentioned, the weight prediction and motion prediction type software that we're able to utilize. When we speak to our clients and say, well, what do you use it for? And the question is, well, we could use it for something, but we're not quite sure what yet. So, it's development over time, I think. But coming back to your initial question, I think it's human element. And I think it's something we're going to have to grow to become accustomed with over time.
Thank you so much.
It's just that I think this agentic AI, some people said, oh, the generative AI works already. Okay, it works. Whoever tried to implement generative AI for real knows that it's not that easy. One thing is to use ChatGPT. Another thing is to use open source. When you use any of those models from huge enterprises for generic answers, they will answer you and they will convince you that they have the right answer. And most of the time, the answer is not right. You have to check. I think it's a very useful tool for specialists. People who know what they're doing, they know better, and they use it to improve their productivity, but they do not replace the person. And I think agentic AIs, they also will make mistakes. And how do we accept those mistakes? How do we monitor? How do we improve those mistakes? I think that's the key. And for instance, if a car crashes, and it's a fault of the AI, the media and the society will blame, even if there's like 10% of accidents, 50% less accidents than with humans, it doesn't matter. People will blame AI. I think with the agentic AIs, I've seen this at the company today. The agent is not answering as precise as I would like to. Okay, but it's an iterative process, and it's expensive. It's not that simple. It doesn't just work. These manuals that you're consulting, How much energy do you put into making that work correctly?
Yes, we're out of time, but yeah.
Because we already are in the era of agentic AI. There is no doubt. But I think you asked about AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, isn't it? Agentic. So, we are. I think it's a pretty low, or rather the risks. I was in the SW this year, pretty amazing. We had a car, totally autonomous, driving there, but okay, it's already done. We're gonna have failure. We're gonna have failure. But the answer is human would fail more, would fail worse. This it's not magic because I think Arthur Clarke, the scientific writer, write something like that. When you have a disrupting technology in the beginning, it seems like magic. And today, I fully agree with you, Leonardo. The artificial intelligence seems like magic. It's a panacea. For sure, you can. We are just beginning with that, but we have to put an effort. But for sure, today we already have, for instance, with Airbus. We have done several flights with the pilots just as how can I say supporting backup. Thank you, just as backup. So we already reached that. I think you're gonna have to discuss other level, the artificial general AI, which comes and would be leveraged with quantum computing. It's my opinion, but not an easy task. But we already reached that. It's my very honest opinion.
Let's see what the future brings. I mean, 3-5 years, what we have to say in this panel, okay? Thank you so much. Big applause to our panelists. Thank you so much for your presence here.